I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tricia, can we have a roll call, please?
Rebecca Bear,
I am present.
George Andrews,
Present.
Wayne Broner,
Here.
Mitch Schlemus.
Here.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for August 12th, 2024, with the members of the committee reserving the right to add to the agenda and take further action in the best interest of the district?
So moved. Second.
In favor?
Can I add to the agenda?
What would you like to add, Wayne?
I just for discussion, we ordered 3 bands, just so I want in discussion status on.
Oh, sure, I can actually give you an update on the vans now. There was 4 vans that were ordered and all 4 were delivered. So we have all 4 in our possession.
Okay.
So 2 of the vans, I believe, were taken to the south lot, and I believe, I'd have to ask the mayor for the other 2 were, but I believe they were taken to the north lot already.
And those are the ones that we can use for,
For anything we want.
2 for south, 2 for north.
Yeah, that's where they should be separate. If they're not, they will be for the start of the school year. But yeah, we do have all 4 vans in our possession.
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve the minutes of June 10th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting,
So moved. Second.
since we didn't have a meeting in July?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
The first item on our agenda, are we gonna hear from PFM? Or is she-
Jamie, is Carly on? Oh, Carly's here.
Yes,
Here.
yes. Carly's here as well. Good evening, everyone.
Carly, can you share your screen?
Let me try.
If not, yeah, you're a co-op, you can share your.
Awesome. Give me 1 second.
Well, Carly's pulling that up. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm Jamie Doyle from PFM Financial Advisors, and my colleague Carly Kiesling has joined us as well. And hopefully you each have a hard copy of our presentation in case you want to review it later after the meeting, but we'll screen share in the meantime. So if you look at page number 2, you'll see 3 snapshots of the same tax exempt index. And what the top snapshot tells us is we're currently at the blue line, and it illustrates an inverted yield curve. And you might remember hearing about those in economics class, but basically it means it's the best of both worlds for the school district, because the short end of the curve at which you invest your reserve funds and construction funds when you have them is producing material interest earnings for the first time in well over a decade. So, you know, this chart isn't meant to tell you the exact investment rate or the exact borrowing rate, but right now, pretty liquid in Pliget, you can earn a 5.4% on the investment side of things. And then you see how the blue line dips down a little bit, and then it resumes its upward sloping shape on the long end of the curve. But the point being that we're currently at historically below average borrowing rates, which comes as a surprise to many people because you hear all the doom and gloom in the economic news, but as a matter of fact, borrowing rates on the long end of the curve are below historic averages. If you look at the middle snapshot, again, it's the same tax exempt index. It just goes all the way back to 1993 to give you a more historic perspective. So we're not at the all-time low rates that were set in August of 2020. But remember, in August of 2020, on the investment side of things, you were lucky if you were earning 0.1% to 0.25% in investment earnings. It was next to nothing. So the difference or the spread right now between the borrowing rate and the investment rate is very attractive. If you look at the bottom snapshot, it's just a blow up of the same index over calendar year 2023 to present. And so you can get a bird's eye view of what that has looked like over the past year and 2 quarters. If you turn to page 3, lots of bullet points, but basically this analysis provides for the funds to purchase new school buses at just under $5.8 million. And in that bullet point number 3, this may look familiar to many of you that have been on the board for a while. The IRS doesn't let us go borrow at these attractive tax exempt rates just because there's a positive spread in your favor right now. You have to have reasonable expectations. Those are the key words. So reasonable expectations that you can spend 85% of the proceeds within 3 years. Reasonable expectations that you plan to enter into a substantial binding contract to spend at least 5% within 6 months of settlement. And then the third prong of the test is just that you proceed with due diligence. And you're going to spend this money pretty quickly on your school bus purchase, so none of that is an issue whatsoever. In bullet 4, we haven't had to talk about positive arbitrage or that positive spread that I keep describing to you in a very, very long time. But basically, as long as you're able to earn that positive spread, you want to be able to keep it and not need to rebate it to the IRS. So based on what we know about your bus purchase, you would fall into the 18-month spending exception. And you can see the prongs of that test, that you spend 15% within 6 months, 60% within 12 months, and 100% within 18 months. Again, it's no problem at all because you're going to spend the money very, very quickly on the purchase of your buses. So that should be a non-issue altogether. Those next bullet points 5 through 8, the dual track process, that may sound familiar because that's the process we've used on many of the district's prior borrowings. So what that means is we first put out a competitive RFP to all the banks that are on PFM's distribution list, as well as all of your local banks. And we get those proposals back. We boil them down to true interest costs. So, not just looking at the rate, but any other costs involved, as well as evaluating the terms and conditions that may be associated with the bank loan proposals. We then compare the best bank loan proposal to the bond market, and then whatever produces the best economic result to the district is what we'll ultimately recommend that you proceed with. In order to get the process started, we have put the competitive RFP out to the list of banks that we got approved by your administration. So that's out on the street so that we can start to collect some of that data to begin the dual track process. And, as always, if we don't get good proposals from the banks, we just reject them all. It's no harm, no foul. But we did start that process recently. And then the last section, parameters resolution. Again, this should sound familiar. This is exactly what the district has done many, many times before. But a parameters resolution allows us to get the board approval, and the reason you do it is for flexibility. So, it gives us the flexibility to have the sale and lock in rates on the best day, as opposed to if we don't have a parameters resolution, then we're wed to board meeting dates when you're going to meet that evening and be able to vote on a live issue. The parameters resolution contains a maximum principal amount. So just as a reminder, that's usually for about 20% more than you're actually planned to borrow. Again, that's just to give flexibility so that we can resize based on the winning bid. A maximum interest rate and a maximum final maturity. And the maximum interest rate, we usually set that around a 5% in your case, given the structure of the issue, not because we think you're going to get a 5%, but again, just because we need flexibility to accommodate the winning competitive bid when we get that. And then again, you don't have to hold any special meetings to lock in those interest rates. If you turn to page 4, you'll see your existing debt portfolio. And as always, the top half is gross debt service, meaning principal and interest on each of your outstanding issues. And the bottom half is your local share, because you still get the old grandfathered plan con reimbursement on 2, 4, 6 of your issues. And you can tell which ones those are because near the bottom of the page, there's a line that says PE percentage. And if it has a percentage there, it means you're getting that old grandfathered plan con reimbursement. And if it says 0, it means that you're not. So we monitor this page at all times for refinancing opportunities. You've had lots of refinancings in the past. In fact, most of the issues on this page, other than the first 2, were refinancings. And you can tell that by the purpose line near the bottom of the page. And the good news and the bad news is that you have really low interest rates on all of your issues in this debt portfolio. In fact, the highest rate you have right now is on the 2017 AAA bonds, and that's a 2.49%, which is still pretty darn low by any standards. So good news and bad news, you don't have any refinancing opportunities at this moment in time. If you turn to page 5, this is a conservative estimate of what this roughly $5.8 million borrowing will look like. It's structured over basically a 5-year term. So you have a small partial payment in the current fiscal year, and then basically 5 equal payments thereafter. And again, we're being a little bit conservative this early on in the process. If you were having the sale today, we think you'd do a little bit better than this. And I will point out that even after this, at the end of the day, in column 5, you still have a very nice, short, concise debt portfolio and a lot of flexibility in the future for any other capital needs that you may have. You have a substantial drop off after 2030 that will be available for whatever you choose. And then finally, if you turn to page 6, you'll see a sample motion at the top of the page. This would authorize the finance team to proceed and get the paperwork in order. As always, the finance team consists of myself as your financial advisor, Eckert Siemens as your bond counsel, and of course, your local solicitor would be involved as well. And that would, again, be the dual track process to produce a construction fund, a bus purchase fund deposit in the amount of just under $5.8 million. So tonight's an initial presentation if you look at the timeline on the bottom of page 6. And if you're inclined to pass the motion above next week at your voting meeting, the finance team would proceed with said paperwork. We'd be back at your September 25th meeting with one of 2 things, either a resolution that would lock in the winning bank loan rate, assuming that produces the best answer, or if the bank loan is not the best answer, we'd be back with that parameters resolution that I described on the other bullet point page. And then we can be ready, if it is a bond issue, we can be ready to have the competitive internet auction as early as the next day, September 26th. And in either case, whether this turns out to be a bank loan or a bond issue, we would anticipate settlement around the end of October. So I will pause there and entertain any questions that you may have. I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time.
I didn't see any fees, your fees or the upfront like you usually do.
So we can collect those. We can collect those after this evening. That would be the next step in the process. And it, as you know, from other dual track processes, it's different for bank loans versus bond issues. And so that all factors into that true interest cost that I was describing. But I would expect your fees to be very much in line with what you've historically paid. You know, nothing has drastically changed since the last times that you were in the bank loan market or the bond market.
Okay.
But I can move on collecting those next.
And the fees will be disclosed so that the board will see all the fees that they are paying before the board enacts any action, correct, Jamie?
Yep, if it turns out to be a bank loan, we'll know exactly what they are. If it turns out to be a bond issue, we'll be able to provide you an estimate. But the largest components of bond fees are the underwriter's discount, which, you know, we don't know who the winning underwriter is until we have the auction, and the bond insurance. Those are kind of the 2 biggest line items. So they're estimates until you have an actual bond sale. But yes, we will provide those budgets.
Will we estimate accurately this time, not
like we did last time where they were highly inflated?
Well, we usually estimate at the averages. You've done very, very well and gotten some through the market below average answers. So, I mean, we can estimate it at whatever you'd like, but we usually start conservative with historic averages.
Right, but underwriting fees pretty much are standard across the board. They're not, and I know the last time you did it, I questioned it because they were extremely high, and in the industry, I hadn't seen those rates that you disclosed probably for 10 or 15 years.
Well, the average in the industry is currently around $7.50 per thousand. And you've had some of the lowest underwriters commission that have ever been seen. So, I mean, yeah, this is a shorter amortization being only at 5 years. So it should be something on the lower side. And that's, you know, what we'll take into consideration.
And then for the underwriting fees, like for the attorney and stuff like that, do we have to go through that same process again, even though we've done it before and we've been highly rated? Do we have to pay again for that rating?
If it's a bond issue, yes, the credit rating agency rates each issue individually, but we'll show you a breakout of that budget. Theirs is a scale based on size, so that one's a known quantity.
I have a question, is this, Pete, is this 5.7 million for the whole fleet?
No, this is just for the 40 buses that were approved, yes. So the
So how much
reason,
is that a bus?
that's around what we approved at the bid, that's around 140,000, 150,000 a bus. Yeah, so the reason that we did it this way is to avoid draining the capital reserve down to a level that we don't have the money available for capital projects. It also avoids, as you heard in the presentation, the interest rates for both a bank loan and a bond issue are lower than what the interest rates are that we're earning on the money that's in the capital reserve. So it's actually a double bonus type of thing where not only are we not draining our money down, but we're also going to save on the borrowing interest. It's also best suited for us in the end, getting a fixed cost in the budget sense, where that when you get the 40 next year, we won't buy 40 buses, we'll buy somewhere between 20 and 25 to replace the fleet. And what that will do is eventually we'll get to this part where we have a fixed budget number that we're paying in or around the number. And that number, whether it's a debt service payment or a lease payment, that number will be set, and then we'll cycle through the buses every 5 to 7 years. And that number will be set for myself, future boards, so that we'll have that number fixed into our budget moving forward. So whether it's a bank loan or a bond issue.
This is for 40 buses.
This is for 40. Next year we'll do between 20 and 25. So
We have, how many, we need roughly 120 buses?
about 120 right now. If we could restructure that and need less
So
later.
we get 40 this year and then 20 for the next.
20 to 25 next year we plan on. Yeah, we're chunking it out this year because we didn't do anything for a couple of years.
For the next 3 or 4 years, we'll be getting 20 to 25.
Right, yeah, until we replace the entire fleet.
And they're all gonna be propane?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless the board changes its mind and wants to go something else, but.
So this
we have
is
to-
just this year, and then it's basically gonna be a 5-year program.
Right, it'll be a 5-year plan to replace all the buses, and then every year we would do the same thing, go out to the same type of thing every year.
So we're
So-
doing this.
Right, so the cost that Jamie is talking about would be, we look at the market every single year. If there's a chance to refinance one of these issues, we can use that. If there's not, we would go out to the market and do the dual track process every single year to try to get the best bang for the buck. Sometimes these banks are desperate to loan money because they have money on their books they want to loan out, and they'll charge a low interest rate to get the money off their books for something like this. If otherwise they may want to do the bond market and go out for the bond. It's something similar. This is just giving us the authorization to start the process. And then on the 25th, they'll come back either with the RFP or the parameters resolution, depending upon what the market is. But I will share that information. I'll actually have that information at the finance committee meeting in September, so that you guys will know beforehand what's coming up at the regular board meeting in September.
At the maximum, we could have roughly $30 million in money.
Right, and then it'll be a cyclical thing. It'll cycle through, and then when that's paid off, and then you'll go out to get more
So
the buses to
If you look
continue.
at today's numbers, we continuously have this 30.
Right, it's like doing your own lease without having a lease company doing
Yeah.
it. You'd be actually paying better rates than if you were leasing the buses on your own. Because remember, Rich remembers this, well, you guys probably all remember this, because we brought the enterprise lease company in for
Yeah.
the other vehicles, which didn't make sense for other vehicles because we could extend our other vehicles out 10 or more years. But for the buses, this is just doing it ourselves because the borrowing interest rates are lower than what a leasing company would charge if we leased our buses ourselves. Because I looked into the leasing aspect of it, and the interest rates for leasing were somewhere between 5% and 7%. And these interest rates, as you could see, were much lower than that. So this is why this is the way we went. So I already eliminated one aspect before I brought this aspect, before I brought PFM in. So I think this way, even with the other costs that are associated, the underwriting costs, the other discounted costs that come into this, I think would still be much cheaper than going the other route.
But this basically would continue on in the budget, right, infinitum.
It could, yeah, it will. And then, I mean, the board could stop at any time and say, we want to get another year out of the buses because we took care of them well. We could say we're going to have a year gap. Say we want to go to year 6 and they're out of warranty, but we still have in good condition. Like say Damaris comes to us and says, we're still in good condition. We can get a year away with it. We can do that. It wouldn't be catastrophic. If we go 5 years, it would be catastrophic. But if you go 1 year, it wouldn't be that catastrophic to do that, because some of the times you can do that with, these buses are staying in good condition,
Or if they're in good condition, we could sell them, hopefully.
Yeah, you could sell them even more, even better, yeah.
People
Because,
hopefully will be moving towards propane.
correct.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing, George, is that every year we have a $3.5 million capital cost.
Right, and that's why I did it this way, because if you did the cap reserve this year, you would drain the cap reserve just solely on buses, and you need it for other things.
Right.
So that's why I'm doing it this way as well. Do you guys have any other questions for Jamie or Carly?
Will we have all the fees or estimated fees for the school board meeting?
Yes, you will have all the estimated fees out. You'll have them. Jamie, you'll be able to provide them for the finance committee meeting, which is 2 weeks prior to that September 25th meeting, correct? Because that's
Absolutely. Yep.
all right. We will have them for that meeting, and I'll be able to present them to this committee before you guys move that ahead to the regular.
Yeah, because in good conscience, I would like to review it just based on my career and what I do and know what the fees are.
That's understandable. That's understandable. Thank you, Jamie, very much, and thank you, Carly, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
We should have estimated fees beforehand.
No, we will have them. No, I completely agree.
All right, our next item is our breakfast, lunch, meal prices. So for students, we have free breakfast, free lunch based on our grants and what we decided to do. Adult meals will be $3 for breakfast. And lunch meals will be $5, which is a 25 cent increase. And milk will be 75 cents.
That's the same as last year.
Correct.
Prices, yeah.
Any questions in regards to that?
No.
Wait, good.
Fine.
Then we have Crime Star USA in the amount of $8,000. Is that you, chief?
Yeah, I actually want to correct this. There's an error. This is $8,000 a one-time fee. The annual cost is $750.
Okay, let me write it down.
Yeah, it's not.
Annual cost is $750.
Yeah, I made a mistake on it. It's actually $750 annually, $8,000 for the implementation costs because we're changing report writing systems. And it's $750 annually for the school police reporting writing, replacing TriTech software systems.
Yeah, why are we replacing tri?
The TriTech software system is antiquated and doesn't have everything that they need. It doesn't really mesh with their current systems. Am I right, chief?
Yeah, it's in the light, they're not, they won't really want upgrades or anything like that. And one of the other features is visual alert was $1,800 a year, for 2 seats, in other words, only 2 officers be on it at one time. This one, there'll be $750 per year for 4 seats, so 4 officers can be on it. It's just the visual alert was clunky, doesn't work well with our Windows 11, so we're gonna have to do an upgrade. We've had it for quite a few years.
Because TriTech's still in business and all. Is TriTech still in business, right?
Yes,
It's just not as up to date,
they keep changing hands, changing hands, changing hands. It's just they're not going to do any more upgrades in this particular. So we decided to go when it's easier to use, has more functionality, and it's a little cheaper.
So if we could still get TriTech but be in the $8,000 range or?
It wouldn't do what we wanted to do.
$1,800 a year. Per year, and you're talking about the other system?
Or we're using TriTech now, right?
Right, well, it was visual alert, then it went to, Corner Square, and now it's something else. You just keep changing hands, but they will not do any more upgrades on this device. So we can't get any new features, like, for instance, the state of Pennsylvania has stopped using citations that we can buy. We used to buy them from, the printer for $20 for 200. Well, we can't do that anymore. We have to have it in our own records management system, that'll print it out. And we can take it to the magistrate, so we don't have that opportunity anymore for citation. We have to download them from a state website at this point, so this will do our criminal complaints if we need them, our juvenile petitions, and do the citations, do the action reports, will do everything that we need, and it'll give us statistics at the end. Like, if you want to know how many transports we do in here, it'll tell us that. How many certain crimes occurred, it'll tell us that, it'll tell us everything. It's just an upgrade to what we had that no longer is much.
And you say we're paying $17.50 now for the,
We're paying $1,800 a year.
or $1,800, so
This new one will be $750.
so about $1,000.
Yes.
So a couple of years will look.
It'll pay for itself.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, this is actually less. This is $750 for 4 seats, $750 for 4 seats, and then we're paying we were paying $1,800 for 2 seats. So we're getting 2 more seats for $1,000 less money.
There are times when the officer wants to get on and do a report, you can't because somebody else is on it.
And you're saying how many people could do the report at the same time?
Four people can do it at any one time.
Yeah.
The other one was only 2, and believe it or not, there were times when somebody had to wait till somebody else got done to do the report. I'm saying it's just a better system. It really is a better system.
Just out of curiosity, how many citations do we issue a year, school year?
I'd be able to get you those statistics. I would say anywhere from 50. Well, now that we're doing more with the vapes, I say it's going to increase. So I'd say 100, 125 a year. Plus, that's not only that. The truancy citations that we do, which is quite a few, could be over to 200 to 300 a year.
Okay, and then you mentioned transport. What are we transporting?
Transport parents to meetings, transport students home. We transport all kinds of things, you know, we do a lot of transport. For the taxi service.
Not anymore. Those new vape pens are scary. Have you seen them? The ones that actually, the new vape pens that actually look like a real pen are really scary.
That's our biggest problem.
And
So-
this was not budgeted.
This one isn't a co-stars, but are there other vendors out there that are co-stars?
Or this particular type of, I don't know if they do.
Software programs?
For software, not for software programs, no. This was below the threshold for that because it was a service. So services don't need to be co-stars related purchases.
And it's under $10,000, which is below the
Yep.
thresholds.
Oh, it's $750 a year and it's only 8,000 for the initial.
Yeah,
Right.
with the $8,000.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's below, you know.
Implementation fee.
Yeah.
Still,
On the bid here, though, it does say 2 records management user licenses, but we're getting 4. So the form that they have in here is not correct.
What is it say?
It says 2.
Under the new system?
Yeah,
Now, according to what I was told from Bill, he was the one doing all the negotiation. He said that you get 2, but you get 2 free.
okay, just so you know, it says on the thing that
Well, that would be correct.
yeah, so I have to make sure that's correct, because I hear you saying 4, but it says 2 in there. Okay,
Yeah, and this was not budgeted.
No, this is a budgeted product because we have the one for $1,800. It's actually saving money off the
Yeah, but
budget.
if it's, just
but
say,
the
Yeah.
initial 8,000.
But the 8,000 isn't initially budgeted, no, but the annual cost is budgeted.
So you'll update this proposal for the vote?
Yes.
Any other questions? You better wake up if you're gonna go play soccer. So our next item D is approve the purchase of a 2024 new Chevy Tahoe police vehicle.
Yes, this is coming out of the capital reserve that was brought, Dr. Riker presented a list of items that were on there. These were two vehicles that were on there, need to be replaced. I'll let Chief Mill talk about D and E. For there to just talk about the police vehicles.
Well, for many years, I think 3 or 4 years, we did not invite the vehicle, so we did get into a cycle. At this point now, our 2013 Ford had 143,000 miles on it,
2013, what?
143,000.
It was a 2013 Ford.
2013.
Ford.
I think it's an Interceptor.
Ford?
It's a
Interceptor, okay.
And this one had transmission work done. It now needs a water pump and timing chain, which costs a lot of money because we've had it done before. This one is just, it's really at its end of life.
saying. The reason I say that is that I drive through the parking lot, so I see a bunch of
Yes.
police cars there, and that's why I
And
just.
the way we distribute the cars. We have one up north where there's 7 o'clock in the morning. That person, as he's going up, he takes care of the bus situations that occur. He's there all day, he transports back and forth. The other one goes up at 8 o'clock for the elementary school. He does transports as well. At the end of the day, he's there also for the kind of buses. We have 2 in the middle of the district, which Jerry Hughes is always going out on buses as from Resica. And then we have 2 down here.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw, I just happened to see them, and that's why I asked the question.
And those are gonna remain.
We're gonna keep those in.
Yeah.
And are they newer models than what we were getting rid of, or are they older?
Well, they're 2013 and 2015, the two we're getting rid of.
the
But
new-
we're
the
getting
ones
rid-
that we're
I'm talking
keeping.
about the ones that we have now, that we're talking
Well,
about.
actually, one that's a 2014, it's in pretty good shape. We don't need to replace that. Because that one, the officer uses, it's taken care of, it's just, luck of the draw. It's just-
Which has mileage and all,
Yeah,
yeah.
it has done well.
That will probably be the next one, though, maybe next year, 2 years from now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, as it ages, I mean, things could fall apart.
And these last, I'll tell you what, they last good 10 years, maybe more better. Every vehicle that I've ever had here has lasted, the white one lasted 15 years.
And the
Who
one
does our maintenance?
Well, it's, it's usually, the garage does a lot of our maintenance. What they can do. If they can't do it, then we usually go.
So
with
we're on
P&S.
regular oil.
Yeah, we do a P&S for that. The other maintenance.
Oil change?
Florence, Florence, what it is, it's transmission, Florence is the best. If it's anything else.
But our mechanics, they do the oil change?
Yeah, our mechanics, the oil changes.
And you're talking-
Liners, they do, like, they did the brake lines, they can do the brakes and all that kind of stuff.
And you're talking the south
Yes,
area,
yes.
you know.
They do a very good job of us, they really do. Keep them in pretty good shape.
Good.
Any other questions? Okay. We have Ames Web in the amount of 8,400.
This is a renewal for pupil services. This is a program that they use on an annual basis for, hang on one second, I had it and I just put the paper down. This is for professional staff, special education teachers use it for progress monitoring, and it's an annual program used across the entire district. So this cost has been budgeted for and is the renewal.
Any questions?
The next item up is an approval for the quote and purchase of furniture from Lake Shores in the amount of $21,167.89 for a new life skills classroom. This is, I don't know what building this is for, maybe Brian could say what building it's for, but this is for a new Lake Shores classroom. This is they've used Lake Shore for several years. They have given the best customer service. They deliver and set up all the new furniture, and they also have the best warranties for it. They also seem to be the most responsive of all the vendors that we use Lake Shore. So this is why we picked them over the other vendors. So.
Yeah, but we're moving it from Middle Smithfield up to the Resica, right?
I believe so.
Those are
Is that
rest,
correct?
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
why aren't we just using the furniture from Middle Smithfield over?
Well, it's a brand new class, so what we're doing, George, is we've been on a plan to completely do all of we did our ES class, our emotional support classes last 2 years. Now we're moving into the life skills and the athletic support. This is a brand new class because the enrollment numbers are high with athletic support, life skills. So in a brand new class, what we're doing is we're replacing furniture that's outdated, that may not be safe, furniture that may have chips, nicks, cracks in it. And we're doing all the classrooms that are in that program the same furniture. So for example, all the ES emotional support classes, they have all the same furniture that they need for that population. So we're tailoring the purchases towards the needs of the class of the students. We just put another class last year up at Resica. Brand new class, new furniture, new teacher. And we want to emulate that same because we have a continuum of services. So we're trying to keep the environments the same, even though the teachers may change.
Are we still gonna have a class at Middle Smithfield then?
Mhm.
Because it's basically the way I read this thing, you were doing away with the class in Middle Smithfield and moving it up to Resica.
Well, what's happening, George, is the IU-20 is beginning to pull back. They are not able to continue to bring in classes that the district needs. So, and when they have a classroom, when they leave us, they take their stuff and we have to backfill that furniture. What's happening is we made requests for the IU-20 to come in and run these programs. They had declined on that. So we are going across the district and we're seeing where our heavy populations are with autism and life skills and emotional support. And we've been creating classes now the last 2-3 years. So when you mentioned about Smithfield, Middle Smithfield, we are anticipating some additional classes coming into those other buildings at the elementary level.
Okay,
So,
but I use continuing to pull out the area, and you're continuing to have to fill out those jobs with.
Yes, they're
with companies.
closing.
This has been going on since I've been here.
Yeah.
That
They're
they,
closing, but we're creating and we have to have those classes, not because the kids are not there. They're just pulling out because they can't staff, they can't supervise it, even though the student population is there. So we have to come in and pick up where the IU leaves off.
we did the same thing with psychology.
The same thing with psychology several years ago. And yeah, so we're on that same,
Continuing.
right.
so a couple of months ago when we bought furniture, what school was that for?
I'm not sure what meeting you're referring to, but I can tell you that, we did supply, Ruska was getting some new furniture, Bushkill was looking at some new furniture. We did some work over at, ESC. So each of the elementaries right now, Wayne, even going in, basically, you probably see the pattern, last 2 years, maybe every other month or so, we're beginning to do new furniture. So we've been going through all of the buildings and at the elementary level, all 6 buildings.
Do we get grants for this stuff? Access?
It's going through access.
It is going through access,
Yes.
okay.
Are we still using the pod at Resica?
We
Yes,
do, yes.
that's where reading support is, if I'm not
We have
mistaken.
some ancillary supports in there. We also have in that location over at Resca, we have the pod. We have our sensory integration program class over there.
Yeah.
The classroom, George, that we opened up several years ago. I think you're part of that.
Yeah. I have no more questions on that.
Anybody else?
Thank you, everybody. We have the items for discussion is Fred Mill would like, and Fred, you might have to get to the microphone to talk about this, about potential security increases, and if the board, the finance committee would like Fred and I to pursue some increased security devices at some of our schools. Fred, if you might have to come to the microphone.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know if the people on, okay, that's fine.
What we're looking at is, we've been getting complaints from citizens. The fact that we don't use the metal detectors enough. Well, the metal detectors we have are limited in the fact that we can only get so many kids through at a time. So what we do is we do what we call random testing. We'll do a bus here, a bus there, and we can get them through in a reasonable amount of time. But I just had a complaint this morning. I was up at North School with the Pike County EMS. And one girl was saying, she saw the metal detector. She goes, how come you don't do more of it? I said, well, we just can't get all the kids through quick. There is solutions out there. One of them is Evolve. I'm not gonna lie, it's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. But it is a viable opportunity for us to be able to do 1,500 kids in 15 minutes. Because what it does, it doesn't pick out every single metal item. It picks out a certain item like knives, gun metal, and things like that. So if you go through a set of keys, it's not gonna ring it, and you can get through it. It also has a screen and you can see certain things and so forth. It's a good system. I think Hazleton has it. We'd like to go and take a look at it. But if you can get that many kids through, it's gonna make our district safer. but it's gonna come at cost.
Could they put
That's
the
what I
portable
think.
ones at the,
Excuse me?
I think if they do that, I would like to see the portable ones at the back entrance where the student parking is, because because,
We're not gonna discontinue using those.
but
It's
I'm
just-
saying those ones are never checked.
So
If you
from
go
what-
in, if you park your car and you go in the back entrance, it's never checked.
Well, even here at the school.
And it's easier to bring things in, no
So-
offense, from their own vehicle than it is a school bus.
So the weapon system that we're talking about is a system that is used at special event, like, at events such as, like NFL stadiums and collegiate stadiums. It's like almost like an X-ray system type
Yeah.
of thing. And it scans for those, it doesn't like TikTok, it doesn't, yeah, TikTok, it doesn't like ticky-tack things like belt buckles and things of that nature. I don't know what the cost of it is. Fred doesn't, we don't know what the cost of it is to do it, but it does efficiently get kids in by a lot, but it does cost, I know, when my home district did in Hazelton, it cost about, I think, $1 million for the Career Center and for their high school to do it. But it does get their school kids in, and they do it for all the special events as well. I don't know, I mean, if it's something that you guys would be interested in us getting quotes in, to figure it out what we need and how to make the district safer, it's worth getting quotes in and seeing if the board would be willing to entertain the idea of and seeing how it works. But they are portable. They can be used as, you don't need personnel, like, the old traditional metal detector that I used to run when I was a security guard was you needed like 5 or 6 people to run the metal detector. You know what I mean? You don't need that. It could be run by 1 or 2 people with a screen. And it is efficient, and it does. Now, nothing's ever foolproof. So I don't want to give the people the sense that we're making everything foolproof, but it can be something that can make the kids safer. Now, it also is less intrusive as well. It's not as something like we're making things like a jail or anything like that. Which is something I don't want to do because you don't want to make the kids feel like that. But also the other point, the other junction is it is something that maybe, is something that would.
Or if they know that it's there and everybody goes through it, it's a deterrent.
Yeah, that does.
What is overkill? But
I
at what point are we doing overkill?
I went to Reading High School for a basketball tournament one time, and it was one person won. And I was surprised when I walked through it, it's just 2 poles.
That's all it is.
And I walked through it, and I didn't even know what it was, and the person said, wait, you're okay. Because something on the screen will let them know if there's something there.
Yeah.
And there was 1 other police officer there. Now, when we do ours, we have to have at least 3 or 4 security.
You have a security and a police officer there. Well,
We're looking
$1
at
million.
Million?
it might be a
No,
million.
it's not.
Well, it won't be that much, I don't think. I think there was different things that happened, and I'm just saying what the Hazelton area cost was, but I don't know what it would cost here, because we haven't examined it and what we exactly need.
But we
Fred
did
would
get
know
a
that.
safety grant.
We got a safety grant, which I'll talk about in my presentation, but
There's 2 ways you can do this. You can purchase it, which they don't recommend because something goes wrong with it, then you have to pay for it to fix, or you rent it. And that's the road I think we should go with, any upgrades, any repairs, they do everything. Okay, and I'm not gonna quote, but I think it's about 100,000.
We got
That's expensive, yeah.
And, but like I said, I know the public wants safer schools, I know you do, but
How much of the public wants safer schools than what we already have? I mean, our schools are pretty safe right now.
Yeah.
And there's no way we can deter everything. Let's be honest
Mhm.
on that.
But
So it's a point of how much money do we want to spend and how much comes out of, we're talking tax dollars and all. How much do we really want to get?
we could explore it and bring back a cost here next month and find out.
I have no problem with exploring it. I wouldn't say yes right now, though.
That's
And I'm
fine,
sure
yeah,
we
that's
can
that's all we, so I didn't just don't
Let's
wanna,
explore more
I just didn't wanna
plans.
chase my tail, and then you guys come back and say, was it resounding no, because that's just wasting time, you know what I mean, but. So as long as there's an openness to at least get the prices and see what it is and see what it looks
Oh,
like.
I'm open to anything like that, but I'm
And,
just.
my opinion as a parent, I love that we have the metal detectors, the ones we have now. They're random. But you could always twist it any which way. Oh, you took this bus has kids from this, you're always doing Saw Creek, or you're always doing Winona Lake. Who are you targeting in that if it's one big one that everybody goes through, there's no way to say you're targeting this person or that person or this group or that group.
And right now, we'd only be looking at the high school, middle school. We could even do. Well, the middle school, we have a lot of kids in the middle school as well, so it only be the high school and middle school, it'd be one unit of each school. Because we can also still use the portable ones we have now for other areas.
Right.
Are these portable?
Yes, you can.
So we could.
So we can even move one
Still
down
do it
to
randomly,
Brookfield.
like that. So let's start with getting one and move it around or two or whatever.
100,000 per year.
Yeah. But you know what, I think we should explore it.
Mhm.
And see what we can come up with. If it's not feasible, it's not feasible, but.
I have no
you know,
problem with this.
Let's, I mean, we should
Okay.
take a look at it, because every time we get a weapon, you know, the backlash. You always get the back, and oh my God, how come we're not doing everything?
But there's only so much we can do.
Yeah, there's, and that's what I said at the beginning, if I prefaced my comment from before was. You can't, besides bubble wrapping the kids and, you know.
Which some parents wanna do.
Hermetically seal them in a building and suck the air out of it, you can't really do everything, but. You know, so we'll pursue it, we'll bring something back to you next month.
I have no problem with it.
All right.
And then we'll see what it is, and then you guys can make the decision if we put for
Alright.
full board.
Rich has
So
not-
I have I have a 3-slide presentation. It shouldn't take too long. I'm gonna share my screen. Hang on a second. Now, I figured out how to get the slideshow going, but I didn't figure out how to share my screen. So let's try something.
Yeah, then we might share their screen.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there, all right?
Don't let.
I know. We have.
I am grateful that we are not losing Governor Shapiro.
Yes.
So we have the 2024-2025 governor's budget. This is a very quick presentation. I just wanted to give you what was in the budget and what wasn't in the budget. Really mostly what's in the budget. I didn't really talk about what wasn't in the budget, but so you guys know I didn't really get a chance to talk to you guys last month or at the regular board meeting. So the basic education subsidy was 26,302,852 or a 9.2% increase. This was an increase of, I can't see the number.
2.2.
Yeah, 2.2 million, because okay, there I got it, 2.2 million. The special education subsidy was 6,683,837 or an increase of 10% or 610,000, a little over that. This is the Ready to Learn block grant was really where the big deal came from, where the most of our money came in. The actual Ready to Learn block grant that we use to spend to maintain full day kindergarten is really where we use this $1.5 million, but it's 1,498,758. There was no increase there. But the money that we got, which was talked about at the regular board meeting in July, was the tax equity payment, they call it. It was $5,551,465. We got the highest amount in the entire Commonwealth by far. We got probably about $3 million was the next closest, and it was another Monroe County school. And I'll go over a little bit about that because I just got an email about it while I was sitting here. The cyber school reimbursement projected amount was $1,034,636. That is a projected amount because it's based on our ADMs from the people that go out to outside cyber school. We have a mental health and safety security grant in the amount of $223,754. So the total increases was $9,617,243. I will tell you a little bit about the tax equity payment and what we can do and what we can't do with it. There are some things that we can do. Basically, the two major principles that we can use a tax equity payment for, and it is basic what we can do is mitigate tax increases and to supplement tax revenue lost by declining assessments. I mean, if that wasn't exactly what East Stroudsburg Area School District is, then I don't know what is. And that's probably why we got the most amount of money, because they only allocated $32 million of tax equity and we got $5.5 million of it. So that's exactly what East Stroudsburg area did. They haven't raised taxes in at least 15 years. I stopped looking back 15 years. And we lost assessment values. As a matter of fact, the two highest in the whole entire state came from Monroe County for tax equity payment because of lost assessment values. So that is the reason why we got the most amount of money. So, but if you look at bullet point number one, the biggest problem is there's no commitment from the legislator in, and this was one of those negotiation things. There was no indication that tax equity payment is a permanent monetary commitment. So we need to wait and see if this money is something that will stay in the governor's budget or not. The other items are, there's
Well, it's
indication.
committed for now.
Right, so this is like a
Yeah.
one-time thing that we'll get. Now, we don't know, right, so we don't know if that will stay in there or not. We budgeted $4 million in revenue during the budget cycle, so the additional 5 points, I don't know why I put that plus there. I gotta have somebody read these things.
And
An
so-
additional $5.6 million is gonna come into our budget cycle beyond what we budgeted for. We budgeted $4 million, we got an additional 5.6. That's great news. But the reason that we should be optimistic, we should be happy, everything is great. But we have to remember that, number one, that extra $5.5 million isn't guaranteed for future years. The rest of the money is for all intents and purposes ours, and we're gonna have it to build on for future. But that $5.5 million isn't. So it's good news, so we're cautiously optimistic. And we're gonna start quarterly budget meetings during our these meetings starting in October, looking at our budget status, where we're going and where we're going in the future, so that we don't start them in March and expect, to make any decisions based on stuff in March. We'll be able to make decisions
But
earlier and earlier.
every year, we're gonna get roughly a little bit over $1 million to put against cyber schools.
Yeah, so that'll be another $1 million.
That'll help.
Yeah, that'll help, and that will come back, and that should be a yearly, that was just a starting point, they said, to help with the cyber school reimbursements. They do expect to continue to increase basic ed subsidy reimbursements and basic ed subsidies and special ed subsidies. So we did get a good reimbursement increase from there, but when it comes to that big chunk of money, though, we didn't get a lot from there. We did get a little in the hold harmless reimbursement, like 600 some thousand, that was lumped in with the basic ed subsidy, but we did not get that tax equity payment. Was not something that was committed to long term, so it's not like every year we'll get another $5.5 million
But
to make
nobody,
up.
no district did they?
Very few, there's maybe 20 or 30 districts across the state that got that tax equity money. We were one of them, but there's no
Nobody
guarantee.
got it for a permanent.
Nobody got it for permanent. No, it's not a permanent thing. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I just want to make sure that people know, like you guys know, and the public knows that we can't count on that, as something moving forward. Yes.
Do you have an idea, and because I wasn't at the July meeting, what we're gonna end up with in this past year that ended? Like, do we have a ballpark, like?
Well, because we've gotten some that extra money I haven't figured out yet and I still have a question out to the state about the extra plan con money that we received the extra reimbursement money that we received. If that money can be booked into the 23, 24, the fiscal year just ended, or it'll be in the 24, 25 year that we just started, because the money we received it in July. I'm not sure where we could book that revenue yet. So right now I'm still going to hold true to, we're going to be somewhere around even or plus or minus $1 million, either side of $1 million. Our auditors are starting on September 16th. And so they hope to have, and we hope that we will have the AFR done by November 30th. And you guys will have the results as soon as I can produce them for you guys. I will produce them for you guys, hopefully no later than the December Finance Committee meeting.
If we're over by like $4 million, is there?
You're not gonna be, it won't be 4 million.
Okay,
I mean, maybe on the surplus side, not on the deficit side.
right. Oh, no, I mean,
Yeah.
like surplus side.
So
Yes.
you're implying that we're not gonna make the October 31st deadline?
Well, this October 31st deadline, everybody's guarantee is automatically given a 30-day extension. So I always shoot for, I love to have it done by the October 31st deadline, but I like to always make sure that I have it done by November 30th. I like to have it done before then because I like to enjoy my Thanksgiving holiday. So I like to have it done before the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm aiming to have it done in that window. Yes.
Did we receive our 1.2 yet?
Yes, we did receive the transportation back subsidy as soon as the governor's budget was passed. It's actually
No,
1.5.
fire sprinkler,
Oh, yes, we
settlement.
received that. Yes, we did receive that check.
That's capital.
That's in capital.
So I guess what I'm saying is if we have surplus over deficit, like this fiscal year, and we wind up with $4 million in the positive.
it?
Huh?
Can we buy the buses with it instead of taking a loan out?
Well, that's one option, or do we say we're gonna commit $2 million as reimbursement to taxpayer? Like, can we
We
put
could.
money back out there? I think that would be something that our senator and representatives would look at favorably and say, that's what you're supposed to do.
I was even thinking too.
I'm not saying tax decrease, because we can't,
Well,
that's.
you and I were
that's
talking and I said even increasing our senior rebate.
Or even increasing our senior rebate. Now, I know we're not quite in that position yet, but I guess what I'm saying is, to you, as you're looking at the end of this fiscal year. You know, what is that surplus and, you know,
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know if it would be that high, but the reason I caution against doing that is because the deficit is projected to be as high as it was, and I'm just concerned about the future, the deficits in the
well, we don't
future.
have to worry about the deficit for this current.
For the
fiscal
current year,
year.
yeah, but I
We're
just,
done.
yeah, I would more lean on the side of increasing perhaps the senior rebate and stuff like that. We've already, because that would get it to the people that need it the most.
Right, and look, I'm all
Yeah.
for it, but I think that we just need to look at it and say, what can we return back? Cause,
Right.
you know, at this point, looking out to 2030, we're kind of.
Yeah, I would, there's no, from what I know, that we'd be the only school district that would be doing that, because every other district is operating in a deficit,
Well, shame of them.
you know what I mean?
Right, well, we were too until 2 weeks ago, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would just say, I would just operate in the idea that we just watch it, wait and see how everything shakes out.
Yeah.
And do that. We do have, I mean, the way that you guys have managed things, I would just keep it, we'll just wait and see. I would prefer if we probably, if we're gonna do something like that, just based on the giving a rebate back out and based on how much work would be involved in doing that, I would just say expand the senior rebate beyond what we already offer, even for next year, and just do something like that. Because we offer, even last year, we went beyond what the normal resolution did for the senior rebate in terms of expanding the deadline, because you guys have expanded the deadline on your own. So I would probably do something similar like that, and maybe just expand the dollar amount you offer to the senior rebates into the people that need it the most. That's what I would recommend doing.
It's a jumping point for a
Yeah,
conversation.
that's what I would recommend if we end up at that particular point. That gives the money back to the people that need it the most.
So the budget that we approved in 23-24, typically. What we have done was worst case scenario where the budget was adopted based upon full employment
Correct.
and all of those other good things. So that we did that, right?
Right, that's the same exact procedure. I just like to keep, so I still don't think I don't think you'll hit a 17 mil. Well, for example, the revenue you're gonna get with the 5.6 million, the deficit was budgeted at 17.5 million. The 5.6 million takes your deficit down to, at full employment, worst case scenario, all the expenditures reached. Your deficit now will be 12 point something million right now, because we just added additional $5 million worth of revenue back into it. Because the revenue,
That's
I
the
thought we
deficit
read.
of 23. Well, that's what the
This fiscal
deficit
year.
carrying over from this year to next.
right,
year.
I'm not counting the extra plan com money, because I don't know where it's gonna be booked yet. I'm only counting that 5.6 million extra from the state we just got. So the deficit was at 12. I'm talking about the 24-25 budget. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's,
The 24-25 budget I'm talking about. I'm
but that
sorry.
was with carrying over.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
talking about,
Which
I'm talking
we're
about
not.
the,
So, I mean,
I'm sorry, you were asked about the 23-24 budget. You're right. I'm talking about 24-25 budget. 24-25 budget had a $23.5 million deficit. The $5.6 million that came in would lower your deficit to around $11.9 million, because I didn't count the extra 5.5 or $5.6 million into it. So, but the 23-24 budget had an $8.5 million deficit. And I'm not expecting that to be as high that way. I'm expecting
But
it
it
to be
had
somewhat.
$8.5 million deficit because we planned a $4 million deficit the year before, which we didn't realize either.
No, that reset, it was just an $8.5 million deficit.
Did we get any real estate transfer tax from Pocono Palace, real estate transfer?
I would have to look. I don't know specific
We should have, right?
real estate.
I'm hopeful.
I'm not specific into real estate, each individual. I'd have to look and get back to you.
Bushkill Hotel too, that one, the Bushkill Inn, that one just sold too. The Bushkill Inn,
Did it?
yeah, It's now in camp.
I'd have to look, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't look at individual transactions. If there's like an anomaly, they flag an anomaly, like an anomalous high amount. But for individual ones, you don't share the like the individual ones. I could look and let you know.
Yeah.
Do you know around what time, what day it's sold?
Yeah, my brother could tell me if he got,
Have a look at the Bushkill end too, because that
he'll
one.
know right away.
That's also
If you just
really
want to send me an email note, I can look at it and I can get back in touch with you on it. So that's the end of my presentation on that.
Thank you. And now item number 7, I'm gonna say recommendations from the Properties and Facilities Committee. Any questions in regards to those? Anybody questions in regards to the property and facilities? No? Any questions on the current project list?
Yeah, but I guess I can wait until the next property facility.
I have a question on between the recommended property facilities commit, the project list and the list we get that Dr. Mark put together. Is there a way we can combine these to see if these projects have been paid for already and aren't on this list? Why do we even have them on the list?
Well, some of them we have on the list. I know we have like the basketball gym at North because there's still that $1,500 or whatever that we never paid them because they never fixed what needed to get fixed. So it's just kind of, we haven't paid our final payment.
Yeah,
So it hangs out.
what I'm looking at is we have,
Which list do you want to get rid of? You want to get rid of Dr. Eicher's
Huh?
list? That one. That one's an FYI list as a needs list. I think when you
this
get.
one also has the projects that we're doing and the amount of money.
Yeah, that's just like a budgetary type of list. We should work on a new capital,
Yes, that's what
yes.
Well, like, for example, we did stage 1 of the stormwater pipe repair last summer. And it shows here that we owe Rutledge over $27,000 and we know that that's been completed. So is there a reason why we're holding?
Which page is it?
Oh, I see it. Yeah, it's on the, it's on page 2 of the current project list.
Yeah.
I could ask and I'll follow up with Josh and Diane and my controller about that.
Yeah.
And for my benefit, because my eyes aren't that great. Can we move those margins out so that we don't have the margins and it takes up the whole?
Well, it'll
page?
be on your computer now and you can just.
Yeah, no, we could do that. We could do that. Yeah, we could do that.
Hopefully.
No, I can also find out what the why there's 11% retainage. There might be that retainage to finish the project as a whole, like when all the phases are complete. But I'll find out. I don't want to speculate without knowing the complete answer. So I'll get the complete answer for you and I'll email that out to you with your answers on the other 2 questions about the property transfer tax.
Any other questions?
And I just have.
And then we had 2 recommendations from the Education Programs and Resources Committee, 3P Learning in the amount of $11,464. And approval for the quote of Vista Higher Learning in the amount of $16,740.07. Any questions on that?
I haven't seen those yet, but.
Okay. Great. Public participation. Nope. Okay. All right, so we're gonna move forward to get the fees for PFM to present at the board.
Yeah, I still need letter A to be approved and then move forward to the full board. And then you guys, this is not approving anything. This is just moving forward with getting the
Quotes.
the costs and everything put together. You're not approving any financing whatsoever. With respect to that.
That's on the PMP presentation.
Right.
Resolution,
Yeah, this is just a resolution. It's not approving any cost, any financing, anything like that.
no commitments.
No commitments whatsoever.
But I have no problem with that.
I know I told before, she's not transparent with her fees.
Yeah, I will get you all the fees broken out and like an itemized thing on the
Mhm.
for next month. Before you guys approve any financing.
All right. So we'll motion move that forward,
Motion.
Second,
favor,
Aye.
approve the breakfast and lunch meals costs,
Motion.
Second.
favor.
Aye.
One more thing about on this, we do still want all the kids to do the free and reduced lunch meal application, because that does affect our
Monday.
our title money.
Okay.
So I think we still do want people to apply for free and reduced lunch application,
So
so.
we just have to make sure we're clear with that. Maybe if we put it in Sapphire, they could just kind of.
Yeah, I'll talk to Eric about that, but I do still, that does still affect our title money, so.
Cause I electronically just signed the code of conduct in Sapphire. It was really easy.
Yeah, I'll talk to Eric about putting that out when the beginning of the school year after stuff goes out, but
Yeah.
that's one thing I forgot to mention, I just clicked them.
Yeah, and I think if we do that, we just need to communicate with the public on why they need to fill it out.
Yeah, we will, because it affects title money later on, not, it's a lagged index, so it's next year's title money.
Right. And it allows us to continue to get that grant too.
Right.
We only have about 3 weeks left to this summer for that,
Yeah, our summer meals actually ended on Friday.
and on Friday.
Yeah, the end, the last day for meals services was Friday, and there was
So what do the kids do now until
Figure it out.
school?
I don't know, that's a good question.
Salvation, right?
The problem, this is the summer grant from the state ended on Friday. That's when their last day that we could serve them was. So I'll get you the total meals that we served, but I can tell you it was substantially higher than last year.
Well, hopefully next year we'll be able to do it up north instead of Middle Smithfield with us.
That we only follow what the USDA and the state told us we could do. I mean, we only follow what we could do. That's something we could do with that money too. The extra money was expand our meal program and pay it out of our general fund too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next item is a quote from Crime Star with the amount of $8,000 for the $750 annual fee.
Yep.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
What?
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approve the purchase of the 2 vehicles D and E as presented.
The Chevy Tahoe is gonna go up north.
North, yep, north, and then the Explorer as presented. Any questions, any approval on that motion?
I don't know, problem.
Second.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Okay, approval of the renewal of Ames Web.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval for the quote to purchase the Lakeshore furniture for Recifa, the new life skills classroom.
Based on what Brian said, I motion.
So moved.
Second.
Favor? Okay. All right, and then a motion to present us some further information on the metal detectors. Do some research on that.
I don't think we need a motion for that. I don't
No.
think.
Well, just in case.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
We are interested in
Yeah. All right, a motion to move forward the recommendations A, B, and C from properties and facilities.
So moved.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Motion to approve items A and B from the recommendations of the Education Programs and Resources Committee.
Motion.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
And our next meeting is September 10th at 5:30 here in the building and also via Zoom.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank